over centuries in the world of more for you is less for me, in a world of competition, in a world of economic growth, which is at present still necessitated and impelled by our money system. A money system based on interest-bearing debt requires growth to function, and it encourages the expansion of the realm of goods and services. So business has been very much about growth, very much about the expansion of markets, the colonizing of areas of human relationship into the realm of goods and services. And that's going to have to change. Well, no, I don't want to say that, actually. I don't want to say that's going to have to change. I do not think that climate change is going to force us to make the changes that I've always wanted to make my whole life. But that it faces us with a choice point, and the choice of what future, not how do we adapt to an inevitable future, but what future do we want to adapt to? What future do we want to align with? I think that many of you can sense what I call the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible, that there is a future, there is a way out, that is so much more beautiful than what we've accepted as normal. A future in which we take care of each other. A future in which the best business decision is also the best ecological decision. A future in which leadership has nothing in it of domination, but a leader is somebody who creates opportunities for others to give their gifts. And that is based on an understanding that actually it's not about moving beyond desire, but it's about uncovering what human desire really is. Contrary to economic and Darwinian teaching that human nature is to maximize self-interest, in a reality in which your well-being is connected to my well-being and the outer is intimately connected to the inner, then why would it be our nature to maximize my self-interest at the expense of yours, or at the expense of the whales, or the expense of the Amazon? That is illogical in a story of interbeing. And so, I'm not even going to say how. I'm not going to give you how we align business with that. I'm offering you actually a question and not an answer. I've written on economics. I have some answers on a systems level, and then they translate to a business level. But I think that right now the question is more important. How do we align with a world that recognizes? How do we align with the reality and the truth that more for you is more for me? How do we create a system that embodies that truth? We have historical examples and even current examples. They're called gift economies, gift cultures. Hunter-gatherers lived like this. To a large extent, even traditional villagers lived like this. In a traditional village, if somebody, or a hunter-gathering tribe, if somebody has good fortune, you don't envy them, because that's your good fortune too. Because in a gift society, nobody accumulates possessions. If you're a hunter-gatherer, in fact, possessions are literally a burden. And so you want to give them to anybody who needs them more than you do. This is also true when possessions take a form that decays over time, like stores of grain. But anyway, let me just say that if you spend your whole life in a society where the most admired person and the highest status person is the one who is the most generous, and you see your whole life that whoever is in the greatest need receives the most gifts, and you know then that you'll be taken care of, and that you don't have to keep for yourself, that you can be like a cell in the body that maintains only a few seconds backup supply of glucose, totally trusting in the ongoing supply of the body, and therefore free to give its gifts without worry. We have a model of that for where we are going. How do we get there? That's the question to ask. And it can be asked on many levels. It can be asked on a systems level. Well, we might speak of monetary reform. We might speak of universal basic income. We might speak of negative interest rates. This is some of the work that I've done. We can talk about it on a business level. How do we prepare for such a future? How do we develop institutional habits that serve those outside of the traditional shareholder, even outside of the stakeholder, or perhaps expanding what we understand to be the stakeholders? And then on the personal level too. How do we orient out of the habits of self-interest that aren't even working anymore? We have a push and a pull. You know, the pull is this more beautiful world that we in our hearts know is possible. And the push is that it's not working anymore where we are. The maze is intolerable. And so we're kind of stuck between worlds right now. When I say it's not working, I mean it in two ways. And maybe things are a little bit better here, but in my country, even if you try your best to play by the rules of the old story, and you get good grades, and you work hard, and you go to a university, and you get your degree, you don't even necessarily get a job. And you don't have as secure or abundant a life as your parents had. It was supposed to be the opposite. We're supposed to be getting richer and richer as a society. And so it's not working on that level, but on another level, even when it does work, it doesn't work. Because, in fact, our basic nature is not to maximize our security. And it's not even to become independent. Financial independence, the Holy Grail. You can achieve that, and then you realize that that was a substitute for what you really wanted, which was kind of the opposite of independence. It's belonging, to feel at home in the universe. The story of separation alienates us, and all of the systems built on that story alienate us as well. And so we recognize the future as actually a kind of a homecoming. The future that we want to create and be part of is a kind of a homecoming, a return to belonging again. And we realize that is the kind of wealth that we've been seeking all along. To know that I am expressing my gifts. That is, maybe I'll have another minute or two just to end with that. A story, a mythology tells us who we are, why we're here, how the world works, how to live a life, what's important, what's valuable. The story of interbeing says, who you are and why you're here is that you are a bearer of gifts, which is why, even if you achieve financial independence and power and status, you will not be content. You will feel like, I'm not actually living my life, but living instead a life I've been paid to live, or bribed to live, or coerced to live. if you are in a job, a career, or even a relationship where your gifts are not expressed and received, you'll be like, when do I get to live my life? If you can recognize this as a leader, you will be able to provide something that money cannot buy. Leadership in a new story comes from seeing that in people, from seeing with those eyes, seeing with the eyes of who you actually are is a bearer of gifts, and you desperately desire to express those gifts. Why? Because, in fact, we are not separate individuals. In fact, more for you is more for me. In fact, we are ecological beings. In an ecosystem, it's the same. It's not like the deer will be better off when you exterminate the wolves. Their competitors are gone, right? They should be better off. It's not that the sparrows are better off when you kill all the robins or kill all the hawks, because that's less competition, right? You should be better off. No. All of them contribute to the totality in an ecosystem. We are the same. And that requires a big shift in our habits of thinking. So I would invite you, in your time here together, to just try on the eyes, the seeing of interbeing, of gift, and maybe even as you interact with people, do it with this curiosity. What is your gift? What am I meant to give to you? That's contrary to the habits of capitalism as we know it. How can I take from you or protect myself from you? Not be a mark, not be marketed to, not be exploited. Yeah, what am I meant to give to you? What am I meant to receive from you? What are we meant to create together? And to develop that as a habit. So thank you very much for your attention.